Hello everyone, welcome. So for today, I'm going to be treating angles of elevation and depression. So I'm going to be explaining this in an easier way, in a very easy way. So now, elevation here means to elevate, and I believe that to elevate means to bring up, while depression means to bring down or to be down, whichever. Now, imagine a situation whereby you are standing on the floor and now you see a bird perched on a tree. Let's assume that this here is a tree, and now a bird perched on one of the branches of the tree. So let's assume that this here is the bird. Ignore my drawings. Now you notice that this here is your normal eye level. Like the normal eye level is the normal way you are supposed to look if you should keep your head properly. But now you notice that for you to look at this bird, you have to raise your head. You have to raise the angle at which you look. Now you have to look upwards in order to see this bird that is perching on the tree. And if you look here, you will see that an angle has been formed between your normal eye level and the level that you looked in order to observe the bird. So now this angle that is formed here is what we call the angle of elevation. Then again, imagine this bird bites or pecks on something, maybe one of the fruits on the tree, and it falls into a hole or into a pit, or maybe falls into something on the in the ground. And now you notice that for you to see whatever fruit that fell, you have to look lower than your eye level. You have to go below your normal eye level in order to see that. And now if you look again, another angle has been formed between your normal eye level and the way you looked down in order to observe the fruit. So this other angle here is what we call the angle of depression. This is the easiest definition I can give for this. So angle of elevation simply means the angle at which you raise your eye level or your head in order to observe something that is above the level you are standing. While angle of depression is the angle by which you have to look down or bring down your eye or head or whatever in order to observe something that is below where you are standing. It could be that you are standing in a high building and you have to look down to see something happening downstairs or whatever. Now I'm going to be solving a question in these angles of elevation and depression. Now I have a question here. The question says, the angle of elevation of the top T of a vertical pole from a point P on the ground, which is 80 meters away from the foot of the pole, is 30 degrees. Calculate the height of the pole. And they said you should give your answer in sword form. Now, to solve your question in these angles of elevation and depression, it is advisable that you sketch what you are given so that you know exactly what you are looking for and you know the amount of information that the question has provided. So I'm going to be sketching what we have here. Now remember, they said that the angle of elevation at the top T of a vertical pole. I'm going to start by drawing the vertical pole. So let's assume that this here is my vertical pole and this here is the top of the pole. They said it is T. And they said that the angle of elevation of the top T of a vertical pole from a point P on the ground. Now this is the vertical pole and this here is the base. This is the ground. So they said from a point P, let's assume that this here is the point. And they said angle of elevation from that point, angle of elevation of the top T of a vertical pole from a point P on the ground, which is 80 meters away from the foot of the pole, is 30 meters, which means that the distance from this P here to this T here is 80 meters. And they say that the angle of elevation is 30 meters, which means if I should draw this, I'm having that this place is 30 degrees. And now we are asked to calculate the height of the pole. This here is the height of the pole, so this is what we are looking for. And they said we should leave our answer in sword form. Now this is discussion. With this question now, I've had an idea of the informations that I'm given and what I'm looking for. So I have the base as 80 meter, the angle as 30 degrees, and this is what I'm looking for, the height. As you can see, this is a right angle triangle because the pole is straight and the level is vertical. Sorry, the pole is vertical and straight, and then the ground is horizontal and also straight. Now I'm going to be solving this making use of the trigonometric ratios. Let me write that out here. The abbreviation, SOHCAHTOA. So now I'm going to look at these abbreviations and choose the one that is going to help me easily to solve this question. Now I am given here, so considering this angle here, this place is going to be the adjacent and this is going to be the opposite. And if you look at this, tan here has opposite and adjacent, so I'm going to be making use of tan. So the angle here is 30 degrees. I'm going to be having that tan 30 degrees is equal to my opposite, which is h, all over the adjacent, which is 80 meters. Now, from the special angles that we solved previously, one of our previous tutorials, we already know that tan 30 degrees here is a special angle, and tan 30 degrees here is root 3 over 3. So root 3 over 3 here is equal to h, which is our height, all over 80 meters. So if I cross multiply here, I'm having that 80 root 3 is equal to h times 3. So 80 root 3 here is equal to 3h. Since I'm looking for h alone, I'm going to be dividing by the coefficient of h, which is 3. So I divide here by 3, divide here by 3. So I'm having that my h is equal to 80 root 3 all over 3. Since we were asked to leave our answer in SOHDIC form, this is what I'm going to be having. And don't forget your SI unit. So since we have meter here, we're going to be having meter here. So this here is our answer, and that is it for angle of elevation and depression. Now notice this question I solved here is for angle of elevation. Maybe subsequently I will solve more question that has to do with an angle of depression. Thank you.